Alrighty y'all, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to make a video about something that you should never do with these conibear or body grip traps. Conibear is kind of like a crescent wrench or channel lock or vice grip. It's technically a brand. Um, Conibear is not a brand, but the name is owned by Oneida Victor. So if you buy an Oneida trap, it's a Conibear. If you buy something else, they just call it a body grip. But a lot of people just call them Conibears. And so one thing that you never want to do with these is you can see how this one is sort of blackish. That's because I waxed and dyed this. And the funny thing is before I waxed and dyed these, I heard that you should not wax and dye them. And I believe I also read the reason and I'm like, nah, I'll be fine. I'll just scrape it off. And I found out the hard way that you should not wax and dye these. So essentially with regular traps, what I do and what I believe most people do is just wax and dye them. You strip the oil off, get them to rust a little bit so the dye really soaks in. You can use black walnut hulls, I believe. That's what I used. And that'll dye them black. And then you pull them out, let them dry off for a few minutes, then put them into the wax. And that, protects it from rusting and all that. But why you don't want to do that with these body grips is it makes them extremely sensitive. And if you didn't know, these are kill traps. They're supposed to snap on the animal's neck. So obviously they have some force to them. Not the kind of traps you want to be messing around with. Also, these Dukes in particular, I find they have a tendency to just kind of go like that. That probably wouldn't happen with some of the more premium body grips, but yeah, it's just definitely a little bit of a fight. But anyhow, obviously you can see this here goes right there. And so when you have wax on there, it makes them really unsteady. Sometimes they'll just go off randomly. And obviously you would not want this going off on your hand. This 110 I can just set with my hand. But I'll show you guys a little bit bigger one next. Yeah. So these ones I find are a little bit sketchy. Jeez. Yeah, that's what I mean. That's a perfect example right there. Do not wax and dye these. I mean, this one I was able to set with my hands, so if it snapped on my hand, it might hurt a little bit, but wouldn't really do any damage. That's a 4.5 by 4.5 Duke 110. I believe the standard size for a 110 is a 4x4, and that's for muskrat. Let me show you this one. Now, when I got this trap, it scared me a little bit. And it still kind of does scare me a little bit. I'm definitely very careful with this. And you can see just how thicker the springs are. This should be a 7x7. This is a 220 Duke with 2 springs. This one's a little bit rusty. But as you can imagine, this is a lot more powerful than that. Just imagine what this thing would do to you. You get your hand caught in this. And this isn't even the largest. This is middle of the road, I'd say. Like I said, 7x7. I also have some 160s right here. I'm getting tangled up. These ones are 6x6. These are like smaller coon. I got them because I believe you should be able to use these for rabbits. They seem like the right size. And so this is in between. But obviously you can go bigger than this. You can get a 280, which I think is an 8x8, but don't quote me. And then a 330, which should be a 10x10. I think the Dukes are 9x10. And a 330 is a beaver trap. And that's noticeably bigger, even more powerful. And then I think you can even get like 660 or 12x16 traps or... All right, sorry about that. I had some business to attend to. But anyway, once you get above a 330, you have a 660, which I believe is just a stretched out 330. And then a Minnesota brand makes a 12x16-inch trap, which I believe those are just about the biggest traps that you can get as far as conibears go. So really, I'd recommend probably painting them, or like that 220. I mean, it's not rusted out. You could probably just not paint them, not wax and dye them. I'm sure, over decades they'd wear out, but it's really up to you. I'd recommend not doing this. With the 110, if it snapped on your hand, I mean, I haven't tried it. I get the feeling it wouldn't do any damage. Of course, I wouldn't recommend it. But once you get into those bigger traps, I don't doubt they could, break finger bones or, if it hits like the ligament that's holding together the bones, it might separate it. I'm not a medical expert, so I wouldn't know exactly, but needless to say, they're very dangerous when misused. And even if they don't snap on your hand or anything, they could just go off randomly and then fail to catch an animal. So there you go. And if you guys are wondering what this is, I'll leave a video somewhere over here about what it is, and you can check that one out as well. As for now, thank you guys for watching. Feel free to check out that video. God bless, and see you on the next one.